Hi guys, welcome to Digital Story Recaps. This time, we're going to dive into the movie Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, 2025, a world where reality turns into a deadly game and humanity becomes entertainment for the gods. Ready? Let's jump straight into the story. Let's begin. Kim Dokja is nothing more than an ordinary contract worker, living a dull and unremarkable life. But there is one thing that keeps him going, a web novel titled 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, which he has been reading since his 3rd year of middle school. The novel tells the story of a world destroyed by attacks from mysterious beings who call themselves gods. For their own amusement, these gods punish humanity by unleashing terrifying monsters and forcing humans to fight for survival. To the gods, human suffering and desperate screams are nothing more than entertaining spectacles. Dokja truly loves this novel. The protagonist of the story is Yoo Jung-hyuk, a resilient hero who constantly rises again, slays monsters, and survives every world-ending catastrophe. Alongside his companions, Jung-hyuk battles the monsters without fear. However, as time goes on, many readers begin to feel that the story is becoming too unrealistic. One by one, they stop reading, until eventually, only a single reader remains, Kim Dokja. Dokja deeply admires Jung-hyuk. He wishes he could be like him, because in reality, Dokja is the complete opposite, a coward. Back in high school, he couldn't even stand up to the bullies who tormented him every day. One day, Dokja's life hits rock bottom. His work contract officially ends and is not renewed. And on that very same day, the novel that has accompanied him for years reaches its conclusion. In the final episode, Jung-hyuk does succeed in defeating all the monsters, but the price is devastating. He is the only survivor. Every other human being dies. Dokja is furious. He hates this ending. Overwhelmed with emotion, he leaves a comment for the author, calling the novel's ending terrible. After that, Dokja heads home by train. Inside the carriage, he notices a young boy carrying a box filled with a colony of ants. That's where Dokja reunites with his co-worker, Sang-ah. It turns out that Sang-ah's work contract has also ended. Their fates are the same. Not long after, Dokja stands up and offers his seat to an elderly woman who looks exhausted, but the atmosphere suddenly changes when their boss, Mr. Han, appears and greets them. Mr. Han openly flirts with Sang-ah. Feeling uncomfortable, Sang-ah quickly avoids him and lies, saying that she already has plans to go somewhere with Dokja. Not long after that, Dokja receives an SMS from someone using the username TLS123. The sender claims to be the author of the novel 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. He apologizes for disappointing Dokja, the novel's one and only loyal reader, with such an ending. TLS123 then says that he wants to give Dokja a chance to change the ending of the story however he wishes. Reading the message, Dokja is left completely confused. Suddenly, the train they are riding on malfunctions and comes to a stop in the middle of a bridge. Moments later, a strange voice announces that Earth's entertainment livestream has officially begun. Everyone inside the train is baffled. Dokja immediately realizes that this announcement is the exact opening line from the novel 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. Out of nowhere, a bizarre creature appears. Dokja recognizes it at once. According to the novel, creatures like this are called dokibi. The dokibi orders everyone to remain silent, announcing that it has something extremely important to say. However, one man continues to protest and refuses to keep quiet. Enraged, the dokibi fires a laser beam, killing the man instantly. Panic erupts as everyone is overwhelmed by fear. The dokibi then explains that extraterrestrial beings, known to humans as gods, have decided to punish humanity for its greed and constant destruction of the Earth. At this very moment, other dokibis have already spread across the globe to issue challenges that humans must complete. Soon after, a screen appears, displaying the mission they must carry out. For level 1, the dokibi orders everyone inside the train carriage to kill at least one living creature within 10 minutes. Anyone who fails will die, while those who succeed will receive 300 points. The dokibi also explains that the gods are currently watching humanity through a live broadcast, seeking thrilling entertainment. After delivering the rules, the dokibi disappears without another word. Chaos immediately breaks out. Dokja then asks the young boy carrying the box of ants about his parents. The boy's name is Gil-young, and it turns out he is completely alone on the train. Not long after, a woman attempts to escape, but her effort fails when she crashes into an invisible barrier. The barrier will only disappear once the first mission has been successfully completed. Dokja then notices Jung-yuk in the train car next to his. He is stunned, completely shaken. The story that had existed only within the pages of a novel has now become reality. Suddenly, an ichthyosaurus monster appears from outside and attacks the train carriage. Once again, everything unfolds exactly as it did in the novel. Dokja desperately tries to recall every detail of the story he once read. He then remembers that the first mission requires them to kill a living creature, and living creatures are not limited to humans alone. Dokja takes Gil-young's ant farm box. He hands one ant to Gil-young and gives another ant to Sang-ah. As the passengers begin attacking one another in panic, Dokja shouts, telling everyone that he knows how to complete the mission without killing each other. Unfortunately, no one listens. In the end, Dokja kills a single ant. Immediately, a notification appears, announcing that Dokja has successfully completed the mission and earned 300 points. Seeing this, the other passengers rush toward him, demanding to know how he did it. Dokja explains that killing the ants inside the box also counts toward clearing the mission. However, someone asks how many ants are actually inside that box. After counting them, it turns out there aren't enough ants for everyone in the train car. Suddenly, Mr. Han appears and snatches the ant box away. Chaos erupts as everyone fights over the remaining ants. Amid the turmoil, a mentally unstable young man continues beating the elderly woman from earlier. Dokja steps in to stop him and offers 2 ants, one for the young man and one for the old woman. But the man refuses and instead chooses to kill the elderly woman. Dokja then remembers that the young man's name is Namwoon, a notoriously cruel character from the novel. Enraged, Namwoon brutally attacks Dokja. At that moment, Dokja recalls that his points can be exchanged to enhance his strength or purchase items. He quickly spends his points to upgrade his abilities, allowing him to fight back against Namwoon. But to Dokja's shock, Namwoon has also received power from a god sponsor. That god grants Namwoon strength without requiring him to spend any points at all. With his newfound power, Namwoon once again overwhelms Dokja. Just as Dokja is left completely helpless, a tube filled with ant eggs suddenly falls right in front of him. Without hesitation, Dokja smashes the tube, killing all the ant eggs inside. Surprisingly, this still counts as killing living creatures, granting Dokja an enormous amount of points. He immediately uses those points to further enhance his strength and purchase additional items. Dokja finally manages to defeat Namwoon. However, with time running out, Namwoon still attempts to kill the elderly woman. Dokja immediately shields her with his own body. He then grabs an ant and tells the old woman to kill it. Moments later, the time limit expires. Everyone who failed to kill a living creature is instantly killed, including Namwoon. Tragically, the elderly woman also fails to kill the ant, and she dies as well. Soon after, the Dokebi appears once again. The creature congratulates the 17 survivors who successfully completed the first mission. As a reward, the Dokebi allows them to choose a gift from the god's sponsors. These rewards can be free items or supernatural abilities, obtained simply by pressing the floating screen in front of them. Dokja realizes that accepting a sponsor's gift is essentially taking on a debt, one that must be repaid someday. Because of this, he chooses not to accept any sponsor reward. Suddenly, the ichthyosaurus attacks again, causing the train carriage to tilt violently. A soldier attempts to force open the train door, and Dokja immediately recognizes him. In the novel, the man is a heroic character named Lee Hyun-sung. Dokja teaches Hyun-sung how to exchange points to enhance his strength. The method works. Hyun-sung becomes far stronger and successfully opens the train door. Dokja and Hyun-sung quickly instruct everyone to evacuate the carriage. After everyone gets out, Dokja realizes that Gil-young is still inside. Without hesitation, Dokja carries Gil-young and runs to rejoin Sang-ah and Hyun-sung. Shortly afterward, a notification announces the next level mission. They are required to cross a broken bridge. The ichthyosaurus appears once more, further destroying the structure. Worse still, the humans who had died suddenly rise again as zombies. These undead immediately attack the living. Dokja and Hyun-sung fight back, but the battle proves difficult. At this critical moment, Sang-ah reveals her ability to create threads to help them cross the bridge. It turns out she previously accepted a gift from a god sponsor that granted her this power. Dokja orders everyone to cross the bridge and head toward the underground station, warning them that deadly poisonous gas will soon be released. He also reminds everyone to gather as many points as possible by killing monsters. Amid the chaos, Dokja spots Jung-hyuk among the survivors. He immediately recalls the novel's storyline. Jung-hyuk is destined to die while fighting the fire dragon at Chungmuro Underground Station. In the novel, Jung-hyuk does obtain an item that allows him to resurrect, but the revival process takes an extremely long time. During the interval before Jung-hyuk comes back to life, millions of people are slaughtered by the fire dragon. Because of that, Jung-hyuk must not die. Dokja quickly calls out to him. Jung-hyuk is clearly shocked that Dokja knows his name. Dokja then warns him that he will die fighting the fire dragon at Chungmuro Underground Station and says that he wants to help prevent that fate. Confused, Jung-hyuk asks who Dokja really is. However, Dokja cannot tell him the truth. He knows Jung-hyuk would never believe that all this knowledge comes from a novel. In the end, Dokja lies and claims that he received the ability to foresee the future from a god sponsor. Skeptical, Jung-hyuk decides to test whether Dokja is truly a prophet. When the ichthyosaurus appears, Jung-hyuk deliberately throws Dokja into the sea, stating that he will only believe him if Dokja survives. Dokja is immediately swallowed by the ichthyosaurus. Fortunately, he remains alive inside the monster's stomach. Soon after, a special mission notification appears, addressed directly to Dokja. The mission orders him to kill the ichthyosaurus and escape from inside its body. Seeing the mission, Dokja feels hopeless, as he has no usable items at all. Not long after, a dokebi appears as the livestream host and informs the gods that Dokja is still alive, despite being inside the ichthyosaurus. Dokja then realizes that this dokebi's name is Biu. An idea suddenly strikes Dokja. He calls the dokebi by its real name, Biu. Dokja knows that Biu's livestream is currently drawing massive attention, with countless gods watching his struggle inside the monster. Dokja tells Biu that if he dies there, Biu's streaming channel will instantly lose its audience. He then asks to speak with Biu privately. Curious, Biu pauses the live stream. Dokja offers Biu an exclusive broadcasting contract, granting Biu full rights to stream all of Dokja's actions. Dokja is confident that this deal will bring in enormous donations from the gods. Biu checks the donation counter and is shocked to see it rapidly increasing. Convinced, Biu agrees and immediately presents Dokja with a contract. This means Dokja will receive half of all donated points. Shortly after, corrosive acid begins seeping from the walls of the monster's stomach. If Dokja comes into contact with it, he will die instantly. Dokja orders Biu to use the donated funds to purchase several items. He buys multiple sharp spikes to block and restrain the flow of the acid. Dokja knows this trick thanks to the information he remembers from the novel. After a grueling struggle, he finally manages to pierce and seal all the acid ducts. The ichthyosaurus, writhing in agony, is ultimately killed. For this achievement, Dokja earns 9,000 points. He then retrieves the ichthyosaurus's core pearl and hands it to Biu. Shocked, Biu wonders how Dokja could possibly know the exact location of the core. Dokja instructs Biu to auction the monster core at the auction house, since the ichthyosaurus core is an extremely rare item. Dokja plans to trade it for an equally rare item known as the Ether of Faith. After that, Dokja purchases several items to escape from the ichthyosaurus's stomach. Long story short, he successfully makes it out alive. Impressed by his feat, several gods offer to become Dokja's sponsors. However, Dokja rejects all of their offers. Dokja then heads straight toward the nearest underground station. Along the way, he stops by a convenience store to look for food. Inside, he finds several people already dead, but he also discovers a woman who is still breathing. Dokja immediately recognizes her as one of the heroic characters from the novel, Hee-won. Suddenly, a giant grasshopper monster appears and attacks. Dokja quickly carries Hee-won and rushes into the underground station entrance to escape the monster's assault. Once inside, Dokja is confronted by a group of thugs. He recalls that they are led by a villainous character named Cheolsu. Without hesitation, Dokja prepares to face them, exchanging his points to further enhance his strength. Dokja overwhelms Cheolsu and his gang. However, the fight is abruptly stopped when a man suddenly intervenes. Strangely, Cheolsu shows respect toward the man and immediately retreats. Even so, Dokja cannot remember this man's role in the novel. As he moves deeper into the station, Dokja reunites with Sangha, Hyunsung, and Gil-young. Sangha explains that the man who stopped the fight earlier is named Inho, the mayor who leads the station's residents. Sangha also explains that in this level, everyone's points decrease daily. If a person's points reach 0, they will die. To prevent this, the station sends out its strongest fighters to hunt monsters and earn points. As the leader, In-ho collects these points and redistributes them evenly so everyone can survive. Gil-young then demonstrates his ability. By placing both hands on his head, he is able to summon insects. Seeing this, Dokja asks whether Jung-hyuk is at the station. Sang-ah replies that Jung-hyuk is not there. Dokja is left confused. He suspects that Jung-hyuk may have already cleared the next level and gone straight to Chungmuro Station to confront the fire dragon. However, the only way for Dokja to reach Chungmuro is by first completing the mission in this level. Suddenly, a man announces that in 3 hours, everyone's points will be reduced again. Strangely, several people then approach Dokja, asking him to share his points. They know Dokja possesses a large amount of points and hope he will share them so they can survive. Dokja is baffled and wonders how everyone knows about his points. Soon after, In-ho arrives and admits that he was the one who spread the information. Based on Dokja's combat ability, In-ho is convinced that Dokja has an enormous number of points. He begs Dokja to share his points to help those who have run out. Dokja refuses to give away his points. However, he promises to help complete the mission on this level, defeating all the monsters in the station. Dokja and his companions begin moving through the underground tunnels to carry out the mission. Along the way, Hee-won tells Dokja that her friends who died in the convenience store were not killed by monsters, but murdered by thugs led by Cheolsu, who then stole their points. Because the tunnel is pitch dark, Dokja tells Gil-young to summon fireflies to light the way. Soon after, they hear the sound of monsters drawing closer. Dokja immediately instructs his teammates to exchange their points to enhance their individual abilities. Several monsters soon appear. Dokja and Yoon-sung rush forward to fight them. However, one of the monsters manages to kidnap Sang-ah. They chase after it and are led into a rat monster temple, one of the level's boss areas. To complete the mission, they must defeat the monster. At first, Dokja and his team manage to overwhelm the rat monster. However, it then activates an illusion prison, manifested as massive, grasping hands. Anyone caught by these hands is forced to relive their worst memories, sinking into deep despair. The illusion prison captures Hee-won, causing her to relive the moment her close friends were killed by In-ho's subordinates. Dokja quickly frees Hee-won from the illusion, but while Dokja attempts to save Gil-young, Hyun-sung becomes trapped instead. Hyun-sung is forced to relive the memory of his fellow soldiers dying due to his own mistake. Dokja struggles to free him, but the illusionary hands grip Hyun-sung with overwhelming strength. The rat monster then summons additional monsters to attack. Cornered, Dokja calls for Byu. He plans to purchase a White Star Pure Energy item, but realizes he still doesn't have enough points. Without hesitation, Dokja begins farming, slaughtering nearby monsters, to collect points. Once he has enough, he immediately purchases the White Star Energy. He then channels the energy into his weapon and stabs the rat monster in the stomach. That attack ultimately killed the rat monster, along with all the other monsters in the area. Once the situation had calmed down, Dokja told everyone to collect the rewards that appeared after defeating the rat monster. Hee-won received 2 knives. Hyun-sung obtained a pair of shielded gauntlets. Gil-young received a helmet capable of summoning insects. Sang-ah obtained a robe that enhanced the power of her threads. As for Dokja, he received a broken sword. Instead of being disappointed, Dokja felt pleased, because the sword was the counterpart to the Ether of Faith. If the Ichthyosaurus core could be successfully exchanged for Ether of Faith, the sword would be restored to its complete form. Soon after, Gil-young discovered a glowing stone. It turned out to be a fragment of the illusion prison's hand. Dokja explained that the stone could summon the illusion prison if consumed, and he decided to keep it. Curious, Hee-won asked how Dokja knew so much. Dokja lied once again, claiming that he possessed the ability to foresee the future. Sang-ah then asked Dokja how everything could return to normal. Dokja replied that they would have to clear every mission all the way to the final level. Dokja explained that only one person was capable of clearing the final level, Jung-hyuk. However, the problem was that the next day, Jung-hyuk would die while fighting the fire dragon at Chungmuro Station. Although Jung-hyuk possessed an item that allowed him to revive, the revival process would take an extremely long time. During that time, the fire dragon would slaughter millions of people. Sang-ah then asked why the mission on this level still hadn't ended, even though they had already defeated the rat monster. Hearing this, Dokja suddenly remembered who In-ho truly was in the novel. In-ho was a human who had sold himself to the gods and transformed into a monster. To complete the mission on this level, they would have to defeat the final monster, In-ho, in his transformed state. Driven by her desire for revenge over her friends' deaths, Hee-won returned to the station. Without hesitation, she killed Cheolsu. Cheolsu's points immediately scattered everywhere. Not long after, In-ho appeared. He had already realized that Hee-won knew his true true identity as the final monster. Inho then ordered his subordinates to kill Dokja and his companions. However, Heewon moved with incredible speed and slaughtered all of Inho's subordinates. Enraged, Inho finally revealed his true monster form. Even so, Heewon advanced without fear. Just as Heewon was about to kill Inho, the station residents suddenly stopped her. The residents did not want to complete the mission on this level, fearing that the next level's task would become far more difficult. While Heewon hesitated, Inho seized the opportunity to escape. Dokja and his companions immediately chased after him in order to complete the mission. However, Inho managed to break through the barrier and enter the next level, while Dokja and the others were unable to pass through it. Suddenly, from the other side of the barrier, someone shot and killed Inho. With Inho's death, the mission on this level was finally completed. The one who killed Inho was a sniper girl named Lee Jihye, who came from the next level. Dokja then remembered that in the novel, Jihye was the only student in her class to survive when the first level began. Afterward, Jihye collected all of Inho's points. Soon after, they heard an announcement that the mission on the next level had begun. 10 minutes before the monsters appeared, green zones would emerge on the floor. Anyone standing inside a green zone would survive the monster attack. The green zones began to appear. Out of roughly 70 people present, there were only about 30 green zones available. As a result, everyone began fighting desperately to secure a green zone. A man named Pildu began renting out the green zone within his territory for a fee of 750 points. Possessing the power of a combat machine, Pildu would shoot anyone who attempted to enter his area. Upon arriving, Dokja immediately told his companions to search for their own green zones. Meanwhile, Jihye revealed that she knew Junghyuk. She delivered a message from him saying that Junghyuk had accepted Dokja's offer to help defeat the fire dragon and hoped that Dokja would survive until the next day. Not long after, a dokebi named Biryu appeared. Biryu announced that he was in charge of this level. Disappointed by how unentertaining the humans had been, he decided to change the positions of the green zones that had already appeared. Surprisingly, the floor beneath Dokja suddenly turned into a green zone. Dokja immediately told his friends to seize 4 other green zones beside him. However, Hyunsung refused, knowing that if he took those zones, the people who previously occupied them would surely die. Heewon also refused. She did not want to hurt others and chose to fight the monsters instead of stealing a green zone at the cost of someone else's life. Dokja tried to explain that on this level, monsters would continue to appear endlessly, but his companions refused to listen. In the end, Heewon and the others left to fight the monsters. Dokja finally gave in and abandoned the green zone to follow them. Dokja then informed them that there were 3 green zones near the monster portal and told everyone to head there. He carried Gilyung on his back and moved toward another green zone. As it turned out, Dokja was right. Sanga spotted 3 green zones near the portal. Elsewhere, Dokja found 2 green zones, and Junghyuk was standing in one of them. With only 1 green zone left, Junghyuk told Dokja to take it and let Gilyung die. If Dokja truly wanted to help him defeat the fire dragon, he would have to make that choice. However, Dokja firmly refused. Instead, he placed Gilyung inside the green zone and ran from the pursuing monsters. Dokja then swallowed the illusion stone, causing the hands of the illusion prison to emerge and wrap around his body, rendering the monsters unable to attack him. Before long, Dokja woke up in a room together with his companions. He saw that everyone was still alive, though they were severely injured. Dokja then told them that the fire dragon would appear that day, meaning Junghyuk was destined to die. To prevent that outcome, they would have to fight the fire dragon. Dokja soon came up with an idea. Not long after, Biryu appeared in a rage, furious that some humans had survived outside the green zones as punishment. For this task, Biryu summoned only 1 green zone, located directly beneath Pildu. Seeing this, Dokja immediately called Biryu. He intended to take all the accumulated donation points. He then approached Pildu and said that he wanted to buy the green zone beneath him for 100,000 points. Pildu laughed, refusing to believe that Dokja possessed that many points. Still, he said he would hand over the green zone if Dokja could truly pay 100,000 points. And astonishingly, Dokja actually handed over the full 100,000 points to Pildu. Dokja successfully took control of the green zone. However, instead of staying inside it, he destroyed the green zone with his sword. From afar, Jihye witnessed this and immediately realized that Dokja wanted everyone to fight together. Without hesitation, Jihye shot the green zone to help Dokja destroy it. In the end, the green zone disappeared. As the monsters began to emerge, Dokja called on everyone to fight them together. With no other choice, Pildu agreed to Dokja's plan. Pildu then summoned a combat vehicle item, a tank, and began firing at the monsters coming out of the portal. Meanwhile, Dokja and the others chased down the monsters that managed to slip past. Not long after, the fire dragon appeared. Junghyuk stepped forward to face it, but Dokja stopped him, fearing that Junghyuk would die. Dokja insisted that he would fight the fire dragon himself. Even so, Junghyuk still moved forward and engaged the fire dragon in battle. Junghyuk managed to sever the fire dragon's wing and wound its chest. Suddenly, the surroundings transformed into what looked like outer space. The fire dragon then evolved into its perfect form as the level boss. Junghyuk attacked again, but the fire dragon easily deflected his assault. Overwhelmed by the dragon's rapidly increasing power, Junghyuk struggled. Seeing this, Dokja told Sangha to pull Junghyuk to safety. Dokja then used an ice sphere item to shield Junghyuk from the dragon's flames. Dokja attempted to fight the fire dragon himself, but his attacks had no effect. All he could do was endure the monster's relentless assault. Suddenly, a giant grasshopper monster appeared and attacked the fire dragon. It turned out that Gil Young had summoned the grasshopper to help Dokja. Sangha told Gil Young to stop, because Gil Young was injured every time the grasshopper took damage. Seeing Gil Young's determination, Hyun Sung stepped forward to block the fire dragon's attacks. Hyun Sung finally unleashed his true power. Soon after, Heewon joined the fight. She aimed her attacks at the shell on the fire dragon's chest, which was its weak point. Earlier, Dokja had explained to his companions that the only way to defeat the fire dragon was to break the shell on its chest and then stab the monster. However, the risk was that whoever broke the shell would die. Once the shell was destroyed, Dokja instructed the others to retrieve the fire dragon's core. That core had a special ability. It could revive one dead person, specifically the one who shattered the shell. Jihye then joined in to help break the fire dragon's shell. However, unexpectedly, the shell on the monster's chest was able to regenerate itself. From behind, Junghyuk stepped forward once again. With unwavering resolve, he sacrificed himself to shatter the shell on the fire dragon's chest. Junghyuk was ultimately killed, burned to ashes. Not long after, the Dokebi BU informed Dokja that someone had exchanged the Ichthyosaurus core for Ether of Faith. The person who made the exchange was an account named TLS13. Dokja then realized that this account name belonged to the author of the novel he had been reading all along. Dokja immediately fused the Ether of Faith with his dull sword, restoring it to its complete form. Wielding the sword's power, Dokja charged forward and successfully killed the fire dragon. With the fire dragon's defeat, the mission for this level was officially completed. Dokja then used the fire dragon's core to revive Junghyuk. As the situation finally calmed down, Mr. Han suddenly arrived in a state of panic and warned them that an enormous monster was moving toward their location. And that concludes the full recap of the storyline of Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, 2025, guys. We hope this recap entertained you while also helping you understand the film's story without having to watch it for hours. The message we can take from this movie is simple yet chilling. Never underestimate fiction, because who knows? One day, it might become reality. If you enjoy movie storyline videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the Digital Story Recaps channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends. Also, leave your thoughts, critiques, or suggestions in the comments. What movie would you like us to recap next? See you in the next recap video. Bye.